There we are. We have everybody here. So, quick introductions. We know Reverend Alfreda from earlier. We know Dave. There we are. There we are. Yes, yes. And so I wanted now to introduce Marie Christian.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Hi.
There we are. Yes, and Cloud. Imani.
Hello, everyone.
Imani
Hi.
Holyfield from UC Berkeley. And Joe.
How y'all doing?
Yeah. Good. Yeah, and so what we have here, we want to start the conversation on mental health in intergenerational point of view. We have baby boomers here. I'm Generation X. We have millennials, and we have almost Gen Z, I think, close. But we got almost, yeah. So 3.5 generations here. And so the whole idea is what we, the generation that you're in, want you, the generations around you, to know about mental health. And we're thinking about mental health in the workplace, but this is the idea. We'll start it here, and then we'll continue it in our breakout room. So to get going, and we'll just go right down the line quickly. The first question that I have is, reflecting on your background and upbringing, quickly tell us something that frames how you have historically approached your mental health.
For me, it was staying active, sports, doing whatever I could where I didn't have to have downtime to think about what happened to me as a child.
I can relate to that, yeah.
For me personally, it was kind of in three specific areas. One being my parents were immigrants and very high expectations set growing up. Two, I worked as a therapist for about 6 years, so working with under-resourced Black and brown kids from across the state of Tennessee. And finally, just kind of thinking about the future, like who I want to be as a man, a father, husband, potentially moving forward. So this has changed over time, but like putting my mental health first has really allowed me to like give myself grace for where I may have misstepped in the past.
Yeah, wow.
For me, as a millennial, I think a lot about choice with my mental health and having choices to think differently about my feelings, which drive my behaviors, which drive my thoughts and feelings. And so I've been really focused on that, and also with tools and how different wellness tools can be a pathway into healing, and really trying to stretch myself to be open to trying new things.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it's about the fact that it's a conversation almost every day, all the time. And that's something that I needed to teach myself, because when I was growing up, we didn't talk about our feelings or emotions. I grew up with a single mom, and you just do what you need to do and get through life. And now we can talk more about it. We share more. And in the workplace, it's a constant conversation, which is really good.
As for me, I came from an environment where it was just taboo to have therapy, to look outside of the family, to tell your business. And so for me, I would keep things to myself, and I would try to work out things the best way I could. And also, as a baby boomer, I was taught that as a woman, we are supposed to give more, be more, do more, take care of everyone else, and accept less. And so only until I had where I crashed and burned, did my mental health really come to the surface in my life.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, I'm relating a lot to the baby boomers, because in my lived experience, growing up, I said it this morning in the earlier group, corporal punishment was a thing. And so that's just a whole topic right there. Between that, and then sports is also in my background. Played sports all growing up, played in high school and college, sports. And then the military too. And so with those three major experiences, when it comes to the grinded out piece, talking about mental health, to your point, that's like a foreign concept to me. And I'm on my journey to really embrace that now too, but the grinded out piece is that. And so that leads me to the next question that I have, and I want to focus on Rev for you, Joe, and then Imani. The question is this: what is one positive or a negative about your historical approach to mental health? What is that? What is one positive or negative aspect about that, just with your approach?
Am I going first?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So I'll kind of talk a little bit about both. I think the negative for me has really been the realization that there's like a lot going on, from having to balance either school, work, personal responsibilities, the global pandemic in 2019, police brutality, housing shortage, and being expected to navigate all those things without help, and how crushing that feeling can really be on about having to navigate those situations. But I think the positive side of that is that in recognizing all the negatives, practicing gratitude, research really shows that practicing gratitude can really reduce levels of anxiety and depression. So taking that space to do like maybe 5 minutes of gratitude journaling can really help reverse what might come across as like, or help you recognize in those moments when the weight of the world is crashing on you that, hey, there are some things kind of really going on that I can be grateful for.
As for me, there's something about when you gravitate or you find people who gravitate toward caretaking, whether you are a psychiatrist or a doctor or, that's just kind of who you are, or you're an activist and you're just a caretaker. What I've discovered is that those that are in that field, it becomes very difficult for us to take care. Like, we kind of show who we are, we measure ourselves, we measure our value of who I am by how well I take care of you. And so when you're in that particular arena, social work or whatever, for me, it's very important. And that's why the power of spirituality in my life, like I've learned how that if you don't go within, you go without, or how important it is to not only service you, but to service myself, because if my cup is empty, then I have nothing to give. And a lot of times when we're in this field, that's all we do is we just give, but we don't know how to receive and we don't know how to take. So I've learned with spirituality, with balance, being able to release and let go and recognize that you can lead the horse through the water, but you cannot make them drink it. So you do your part and the rest is left up to the person.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love that. Well, for me, I think family is a huge part of how I started off on my mental health journey. My mom, who's in this room, was a single mom, and she really modeled what it was to kind of take care of herself. And so even from a child, I remember having core memories of going to Pilates. I didn't know what it was, but I was going, playing my games while she was there. Or, she would have to take me to all of her appointments, like therapy. And sometimes she'd invite me in, and sometimes I'd come in, and sometimes I wouldn't. But I think as I've gotten older, I look back into that reference point of when I need to ask for help, I kind of know what it looks like. I know what it feels like to spend an hour dedicated just for yourself and make that space within your day. So that has really, really helped me along my journey. And then kind of going off of that, kind of some negative historical ways that I approached my mental health. As I got older, I think I started experiencing deeper, stronger feelings of shame or guilt of what it was to have mental health challenges like depression and anxiety. And so I spent the majority of my adult years approaching mental health from a very isolated, siloed position, just with me and my journal, maybe me and a therapist, but really me and friends, me and even family members like my mom. Even as I got older, I was really shut out about those experiences. It was because I felt like my pain was too heavy for other people to hold, and it wasn't really until I was pushed by an individual therapist to try group therapy that I really realized, hey, the next part of my healing looks like trying something new that I haven't done before. I was concerned about that group therapy experience because I thought, there were folks that were 30 years my senior, folks that were 5 years younger than me, and I thought, what is the intergenerational connection going to be like? How can I relate to those people? But it was really transformational and really started me out on this kind of journey I'm on now, where I realized that you can actually find wellness through community, and that there's power in sharing your story because you can also help heal other people, because I definitely found healing in other people's stories and their moments of strength.
Yeah, great questions. One thing I was thinking with the Generation X point of view, I was thinking about the grinded out piece that I was talking about earlier, in sports, things like that. And this is like a positive and a negative. It can be a double-edged sword, because when it comes to work ethic, and I'll just index towards the sports side. I played college basketball, did that, and I'm wearing his shoes right now. Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality. That is grind it out, work hard, compete, do what you can, give your absolute best. Michael Jordan's another one. He's a baby boomer, right? And everybody knows who Michael Jordan is. You don't have to be a basketball player, right? So there's a lot to be said for the grind it out piece. At the same time, you could burn yourself out. You could overdo it. All those things there. So I could just call it out as just a positive and a negative, just something there. And it can be a challenge to wrestle. When do you do it? When do you don't? But it's just another element. Now the next question I wanted to ask, and this will be for Dave as well as Marie Christian. What's one thing that you want us to know about mental health?
Wow, that's a deep question. I think as a boomer, baby boomer, not to be afraid of it, to embrace it, because you will find out mental health and performance go hand in hand. And if you have your mental health in the right place, your performance will exceed your greatest expectations. It's kind of like when you eat well, when you sleep well, how you feel. And if your mental health, and here's the thing, and I'll close on this, your mental health is going to have moments. And I think that's the thing we have to be careful. What concerns me a lot for the younger generation is you expect perfection. Mm-hmm. You're not perfect. Life's not going to be perfect. But the one thing I've learned, that's the beauty of being 67. The one thing I will tell y'all, don't be in such a rush. I would do anything to be young again. When I say young again, I mean I am where I am. But I remember going, man, I can't wait to get my license. I can't wait to get out of college. I can't wait to do this. I kept saying I can't wait to the next step. Now I'm like, man, I'm in no rush for the next steps now. So
I hear that.
So the big thing is, I think the most important thing to me in mental health is allow yourself to be true in how you feel and find some people and places you feel safe. When you feel safe, you can share and grow. So that would be it to me.
Great points. I think for me, I would add that mental health is your responsibility and your journey. I think especially since mental health is a conversation that we see happening, we tend to measure ourselves by others. Oh, Imani's doing therapy, I should do it too. Oh, this other person is doing this, I should do it too. Maybe your journey looks different. And I think spending that time and seeing what do I actually need. For me, the journey to my mental health was being comfortable saying no. Like I just needed to, I naturally am somebody who says no to things I don't want to do, but I found myself making excuses and not feeling comfortable to say, no, I don't want to do this because I feel like I feel extra stress, or I feel that this is not something that matches with my values, and this is not something that sits well with my gut and how I'm feeling. And that's my journey. It looks different for everyone. It also, in different phases of your life, it looks different. I became a mom 3 years ago, and mental health took a different color for me becoming a mother and navigating being a working mother as well. So I think find your journey and find what works for you will be the one thing that I'll say around mental health, and leverage the resources that are available, please.
Yeah, I love it. Great. So we want to get all of you involved now. And so right here, the next slide. You know what to do for Q&A. So go ahead and type in the question or load in that. But while we're doing that, we can actually hear from the others here on what you want us to know about mental health. Whoever wants, we'll just go down the line. So Joe, you can go. Yeah. Wow. Joe, then Imani, then
Yeah, no. It's a journey. I think that's something that is really I want to emphasize. It's a journey, and it's ongoing. I think there are times we decide I've hit the point where you've hit the point where you have all the coping skills, or you're no longer anxious, and that sometimes that's just not the case. But having the coping skills needed to navigate these situations, or even community building in some aspect where you can lean on people in those moments where you're not feeling all the way yourself. So a bit of it is take some time, be patient with yourselves. It can be a lifelong journey, but also, actually it's just taking time. Take your time.
Great.
I love that. For me, I think the biggest thing and where I'm focused on is being in choice right now. So I grew up in predominantly white neighborhoods and schools, and then workspace was predominantly white, where I was just really used to being the one and only or few, and I kind of normalized that experience, that to tell myself from an early age that I was fine with everything that I was receiving, that I was getting everything that I needed. And when I went along my healing journey, a lot of times I wasn't able to, maybe it was through what services were provided, find providers that reflected my identity. And it took me really getting real about, yes, I can take everything that's great of this experience, but I also really deserve to be seen as a Black woman. I also deserve to have care that, was really focused on healing through racial trauma. That was a big part of my journey as well. And so I would hope for you all that for whatever identities or experiences that you're going through, that you, even if you're not seeing it within the resources readily available, they do exist. These people are there. So to keep trying on that, and to listen to yourself if you're potentially not feeling seen or heard, because it's definitely something that you really deserve along your healing journey.
To thine own self be true. Become very familiar with yourself. It's important that, and I think I said earlier how we live on automatic pilot and we don't stop to check in with ourselves to say, how am I doing? Like, am I okay? We just kind of, like you say, push through and we keep going from one thing to the other. But if you take the time to begin to become familiar with yourself and know the signs and know when, things are not just kind of, going the way that you want to go, or you're feeling a certain way, learning how to trust what you feel. It's very important that you create a safe space for yourself. Like, I have a safe space. I have people that I really trust, and when I'm feeling vulnerable or naive or not myself or whatever, and also they also can notice when I'm not myself, like, because we keep that communication open, and they will call me and say, you kind of been a little is everything okay? So to me, creating that safe space, to thine own self be true, recognize it, be honest with yourself, and to me, that's what helps me get through.
Yeah, excellent. I appreciate it. And so we have a few questions here, and we can go ahead and show it. And so the first question here is, do you think younger generations are being dramatic? So we have one or two that wants to jump in on that.
Can I?
Okay. Oh, we got a few. We'll go. Who?
This question, who asked this question? This is a very good question. And I think the being dramatic, I'll say other words for this. The younger generation is very vocal about their needs generally. We're having this conversation at lunch today. I'm talking about the needs that the younger generation has at the workplace, and how I'm a manager. As a manager, I also need to learn to navigate it. That's one. I think there's also more awareness around mental health and what it takes, what the needs are. So think about it, like when there was more awareness around technology and the internet, what did we all do? We started using it. We're talking more about it. So it's more of a conversation. And we've talked about, of course, the elements of this generation that other generations didn't have the opportunity or the luxury to do, where there's a lot of access to different things, different resources on your phone. You can get therapy. When did that happen? In our lifetime, right? As well. So thinking about those things. So I wouldn't say, for me, the dramatic is because it's up in our face and we can see it, but it's for many reasons, in my opinion.
Yeah. You want to jump in there?
Yeah, real quick, I don't think they're dramatic as much as, with technology, of course, we're in Google, so technology is big, but I think technology also creates too much information, sometimes too much speed, too much bombard. Because when I think about it, when I was growing up, there was no cell phone, no internet, no emails. You wrote a letter and you might wait a week or two to get a response. For real. I think, and we had imaginations because we couldn't just Google something and it pop up. I think, to me, the younger generation has too much coming at them too fast. all the time. So what might seem dramatic, I think is more so it's just it's information overload.
Can I add a little bit there? Yeah, sorry, to add a little bit there. So I actually worked with kids across the spectrum from age like 5 through to like 21. And one thing that was always clear for me was that, even the behaviors that we associate with being dramatic, any of those behaviors is typically a sign of an unmet need. And so, if we're looking at technology as putting too much information in a kid's hand, maybe there's an unmet need that needs to be met. In a lot of places, there aren't community centers for kids to gather, after school programs, recess, all these things are being cut in ways that, if kids were playing, had safe places to play, you probably wouldn't see as much. But so then all you kind of see is the negative outcome behaviors as well, or the overindulgence in social media and technology.
Yeah. Good
Can I
stuff.
add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, from the youngest person on the panel here, I got to ride
Wow.
for my people.
true. That is
So
true.
I think that younger generations really have the language now, but not necessarily the experience to contextualize what it is that language is meaning. And so when I look back at my younger self, the first time I experienced depression, I didn't know when it was going to end. I didn't know it was a journey. I didn't know there were highs and lows, and even how to respond back to the doctors about, how are you feeling right now? What's the level of intensity? Now, if I experience feelings that are low or high, anxious, I can contextualize it. I can give a therapist a number and know, what I might need within that cycle to help. I even have new tools that I can match to that language to say I'm feeling this way. Now I know how to care for myself better. And so I imagine folks that are my age or younger are still learning that toolkit for themselves and trying to personalize it, as you mentioned, to figure out, well, what works for me because I tried the thing that works for that person and it didn't work. So I can imagine there's a lot of experience of hopelessness because they haven't yet found their way.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm just, as I'm listening to you, connecting what you just shared with what Dave was sharing, the information overload, which creates limited opportunity to sort that out and to really navigate and really see what works, what doesn't, what's a fit. So that makes sense. So great question. We'll go to one more question here, and then we're going to pose a question to all of you next. So the next question is, what do you want non-Black, there we go, thank you. What do you want non-Black people to know about mental health as a Black person? Ooh, could do a whole panel discussion on that one. You can go?
Yep.
Yep.
And before I answer, I want to tell you something. I'm sitting up here really kind of jealous because Larry can sit with his feet firmly planted on the ground.
This works
and
for
have
me.
you noticed the rest of us keep it on the? I've been sitting here like, now that's tall, where you can put your feet flat on the ground. It's been tripping me out. I just want you to know that. I grew up in the 60s. So I grew up during civil rights era. And then when I went to Morehouse in 1974, Maynard Jackson had become the first Black mayor. And I always tell people, and I can't speak for the younger generation because I don't know if they still feel it as much as my generation, but we carry an incredible weight, usually being the first or one of the few in many situations, and or the only, and we feel like so often I can't make a mistake. I'll ruin it for everybody who'll come behind me. They're looking at me, all kind of stuff. And some days you're just worn out. Is my hair okay? Especially when somebody wants to touch your hair. So I never felt that before. And those kind of things I remember so much. And then I was a quarterback of my high school team, and it was a predominantly white team. There was only like 5 Blacks on the team. And people would say, what's it like being a Black quarterback? And I'm like, it's no different than any other quarterback. But those were the kind of questions I got in the 70s.
Any others?
Yeah. No, I think for me, mental health does not discriminate. We all experience, not we all, excuse me. We all have the capacity to experience depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, et cetera. I think that a lot of the research has not focused on the Black population. There's a huge level of mistrust between the medical field and the Black population for a number of reasons. But at the same time, it's important that this research is also done so that we can start noticing earlier signs or symptoms, or when people are kind of agitated for months on end or weeks on end. You know, it's not always just an anger problem or a behavioral problem. Sometimes there are things that kind of happen within specific communities because of racism, realistically, that needs to be treated as such. So mental health doesn't discriminate. You know, if anyone in this crowd has had prolonged feelings, I encourage and urge, you know, to reach out for help, and that can be done in a number of different ways. So.
May I build on what you said? They're expanding this more to be, expanding the question to be people that come from underrepresented groups as
Yeah.
well in any environment and all, you know, definitions of X, underrepresented in any space, experience things differently. So to David's point about the load that you carry, the responsibility that you have for your whole, you represent your whole folk. And I know as an immigrant to the U.S., I'm not U.S. born, it's something that we always think about as well. So if you brought in this question and think about how do people who are not represented feel, Imani talked about that being the only in your childhood, in your work, and feeling that sense of isolation. So if we broaden this question, I can feel like a lot of people will have the same things that you all mentioned.
Yeah, I was thinking that the same thing. I know a number of you probably heard of the black tax. Yeah, if you expand it to just the tax, the marginalized tax, there's just an additional level of cognitive, emotional load that just comes. Some of it comes from generations, context, all those different things. And then you have to read the room quickly, process all that stuff you have, and then make a move. And hopefully it's the right move because you got people counting on you, or you don't want to be the example. All those different factors there. So, do you want to?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
going
go
to
ahead.
add two other things. Something that I've actually been surprised and learned about is that as a Black person, with the research that's out there currently on mental health, sometimes Black folks actually present different symptoms than what might be reported. So you may have someone isolating themselves and potentially not going to the happy hour, and it may be symptoms of something deeper. Or you may actually look completely like nothing's wrong, and it's actually that you might have anxiety or might be experiencing depression. And so I think it's really important to still ask people how they're doing, even if they are presenting joyful, that there could be things underneath that. And then the second thing that's really critical for me is kind of understanding that affinity-based spaces can be really healing for communities that are underrepresented, and it's not that it's not an attack on another group just because there is a healing space for a particular group. It is for the things that were on this panel, that there's already attacks to going into work every day and not seeing yourself represented. So having a space that you don't have to think about your first layer of identity being Black as part of the healing can really take that load off, so you can actually focus on what's going on inside.
And you know, something else, coming from, you know, a Black family, a Black experience, we were kind of taught to give more and expect less.
Yeah.
You know, we were taught that, you know, even as a kid, I remember when, you know, your mother would take you to the store and you could see the little white kids acting out, and the parents would just, you know, they
Corporal
would just like,
punishment.
it's going to be okay. And the Black kids, we would get a stare like, if you do anything.
The look.
Exactly. So we were sort of like conditioned to do more and to give more, and so and not to expect help or to ask for help. You know, this is just the way it is. Frida, you're a woman. Okay, you're gonna have to do more. You're a Black woman. You're gonna have to be more, and you're gonna get less. And so that mental, you just carried it around.
Yeah, excellent. Now, in these last couple minutes here, before we go into the breakouts, we're going to switch the screen here. We'll go back to the next one. This is where we will pose the question. The next one, there we are. Yeah, so if you can pull this up in the prompt, we want to ask the same question to all of you. What do you, your individual self, your generation that you're in, want us, meaning the generations around you, what do you want us to know about mental health? And while you're considering that, I wanted to definitely thank all of you. One thing I was thinking earlier, I didn't share this earlier, is I just enjoyed learning from multiple generations, because there's value in every generation's lived experience. There's good, bad, and ugly in every generational experience, but there are levels of wisdom, nuggets, insights that can be useful to every generation. So I really appreciate that. And then when we get the responses up, you can just go ahead and show them. We'll show a couple of these, and then we'll continue the conversation in the barbershop and the beauty salon here in a moment. So yeah, and I'll just read a couple of, oh, thank you, there we go. Sometimes we don't want advice, we want a hug. Yeah, yeah. Rarely words can provide support. They're coming in, this is good. Yeah, a hug, the power of a hug. Anyone? Yeah, this is great. Keep them coming. I can't read them that fast, which is great. But yes, yeah, there's a number of things that all of us can learn from everybody else about mental health. And so what we're going to be doing now, go ahead and move to the next piece, the barber shop and the beauty salon. We're going to go back there for our final breakout sessions of the day. And so we're going to have Reverend Alfreda and Dave. We're going to do a crisscross maneuver here. So Reverend Alfreda and Dave are going to be with the students. And then Autumn Rose, Newton, and Anthony are going to be with the business professionals. We're going to continue that conversation. So we'll have a quick break here as we transition out, and then we'll continue the conversation about this. So thank you.